Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum. Alright, so round 1, Tank Crawler versus Arclight Phoenixes. Just need an answer for the Phoenixes, so I put down 1 Marksman and 1 set of Blue Crawlers. The level 2 Blue Crawler is actually quite strong. It takes quite a bit for the Arclight to kill it, and in just a straight up fight, the level 2 Crawlers will overpower the Arclight. In this case, with the support of all the other crawlers, I think I stand a pretty good chance of breaking through his line here. The left side's Arclight got immediately taken out by my level 2 marksman, and on the right hand side, we clear out his chaff, and now the marksman is just working on the rest of his army. So it was a pretty easy round for me in turn 1. Okay. Turn 2. Lots of good units. I think for a elite specialist, because every chaff unit that you purchase is going to be level 2 and they're expensive. So when you're offered 3 sets of fans, that's a no-brainer. For my opponent, I believe he might want to go with something like a Wraith. I am not too sure, but he could also be going with something that's simply for the purpose of selling. Oh, he actually went with 3 sets of fans. Very good choice as well. Going with chaff sometimes may seem counterintuitive, right? So you're being offered a extra unit. Why don't you just take the extra unit, save yourself the unlock cost? With chaff, you are restricted by your number of deployments. So when you're offering 3 sets of fans, technically you're getting 2 fans plus the cost to deploy, which is 50, and then another set of fans. So the math works out in the end. Okay, round 2, I bought an extra set of blue Mustangs. Mustangs are quite weak on level 1 because of the low damage. They are even footing with a set of crawlers for twice the price. But once they start to get a few levels, they scale really well. So they're one of those units that have a very slow start, but once you get them to high enough levels, they become your carry units and they just absolutely destroy everything that's on board. The level 3 Mustangs is doing a great job as chaff clear. And once the chaff is cleared, it will do an excellent job killing this Arclight as well. And once that's done, it will move on to the Phoenixes. Left hand side, the tanks are doing good. There are no Phoenixes to shoot at these tanks. It's just chaff and Arclight, so it's holding well as well. Phoenix is being taken down, and round 2 goes to me as well. Round 3. Extended range Vulcan card is being offered. Extended range Vulcan is probably the only time I play Vulcan because it's just such a strong card. It's the only extended range card that not only gives range, but also gives a damage as well. So it increases attack by 50% and it increases the range by 20%. And of course, at the cost of 35% of health. So this essentially turns Vulcan into glass cannons. They are a little bit more fragile, but they deal a whole lot more damage. And it turns Vulcan from just a chaff clearing unit to an actual damage dealing unit. So I took that card and so did my opponent. All right. None of us brought the Vulcan to the field. Instead, he added 2 sets of Stormcrawlers, and these Stormcrawlers are actually doing work. Now, unfortunately, my Mustangs are just a little too strong at this side. And on the other side, my tanks continue to defy the Stormcrawlers. Let's see if I can get the tower debuff before the rockets land, and I could. So that just means my marksman is just going to shoot down all 4 Stormcrawlers. So far, so good. Round 4. Laser sight was offered. So if you had extended range Vulcan with laser sight, it just becomes beast of a unit. The problem for me is because I'm elite, it actually takes me an extra 200 resource to bring that unit to the board. And for Sparty, he was already getting a Vulcan out with the laser sight. This is really bad news for me because I am losing a lot of tempo on my side of the board. Now, hopefully, I can have an answer for the extended range Vulcan. I noticed that he does not have Ignite on it, so he's not going to be an effective giant killer. So I figure, you know what? Instead of going extended range Vulcan of my own, which is very good, by the way, maybe I can just do something that counters his Vulcan. That is, not my Vulcan. So the idea of going war factories come to light. So let's see if that works. So for this turn, I just simply build my back line here. So when I do introduce the war factory, I have a strong back line of chaff clear as well as chaff once the chaff is clear. So the Mustang will actually move in front of the war factory. And hopefully I'll be able to take down this Vulcan. The Mustangs are actually doing quite well. The left side is already won. They are going to take the tower. The downside of extended range Vulcan is just that they're so fragile, right? They're 35%, they got 35% less health. And of course, it's still a giant, right? It's still dangerous, but they are not as dangerous as a full health Vulcan. So even with extended range, I was still able to take it down with my level 2 Mustangs. Lightning Storm was offered. Lightning Storm is probably the only viable cards here. Enhancement Module is also fun. Iron Blast is, we don't have enough big units. So you could try to catch the 2 Phoenixes. I end up taking Enhancement Module because as a elite specialist, you're trying to squeeze money wherever you can. So my goal is just to recycle some of these Mustangs, sell them, get a new set of Mustangs. I don't need them to be level 3 just yet because they're not exactly my carry units, and also running into these extended range Vulcans, these Mustangs don't really survive that long. So I just want to keep them at level 2. I mean, they'll get to level 3 eventually, but for now I needed the extra money. Added shield bubbles on the side, just protecting my higher level Mustangs, but I totally forgot about the Lightning Storm in the middle. I am holding on to the laser sight in case I've decided that I want to go with extended range Vulcan as well. But at this point, I think it might be a little bit too late. I should have just added to one of my Mustangs so that it has a bit more staying power while I prepare myself to go War Factory. With the level 2 Vulcan now on the field, I don't really stand a chance. And I was being defeated very quickly. All right. Round 6. Finally have enough money to bring out a war factory. It is so expensive as a elite specialist. Not only you have to unlock it for 200, your war factory is now 1200 with supplies instead of 800. And when you bring them out, you also want to get some tech on them. So it's just a very expensive endeavor. So I brought out the war factory. I got efficient maintenance and I got anti-missile in case he decided to go with incendiary bomb on his Vulcan. Now he is extended range, so is less likely, but it is always devastating when they go incendiary bomb against something like Mustangs. My opponent took the Vulcan drop, and he's keeping the Vulcan. I do not have enough money to bring another war factory out in the same turn, but they will come out in the next turn. Finally, I added a laser sight to this level 3 Mustangs on the side. And extra crawlers just to distract his army a little bit. Level 2 War Factory is one tanky unit, and immediately this laser sight Vulcan lock onto my War Factory, and it will stay locked on for the entire duration of his life. While the rest of my army, now leveled, are going in and deal damage. So here's the strategy. I want my Vulcan, I want my War Factory to always run up to his Vulcan, get locked on, and then my high level Mustangs will be able to clear up the rest of his army. However, with this type of strategy, you have to be very careful about how quickly you can defeat your opponent, because it is a lot cheaper to introduce new Vulcans than it is to introduce new War Factories, especially if you're an elite specialist. So if you don't have something tanky at the front to tank these Vulcan shots, and if they're directing their fire onto your Mustangs, then that often spells disaster. All right, unit drop, smoke, pretty good. Extended range Vulcan without the range is just a regular Vulcan. Absorption module, very good. We know that the Vulcan already does additional damage, so that as long as it can continuously output damage, and it doesn't matter if it's hitting chaff or large units, right? So unlike a pair of steel ball or melting point with absorption, they have to target individual units. Which means if you're targeting a chaff, like a fan or a crawler, you're not really getting that damage, which means you're not getting that health regeneration. Not a problem with Vulcan. They can hit whatever they want, and they will always hit things in a cluster. So if you have a cluster of tanks, a cluster of Mustangs, it would just get as much health as it would hitting on something like a War Factory. So that's a very good item for extended range Vulcan. Both of these items are excellent. Laser sight, really good extended range Vulcan, and absorption module, top-notch items. So really good for the strategy my opponent's going. He added in Acid Scorpions, another potent combination. The Vulcan's damage is a bit weak when it's against large units, especially level 2 War Factories. But once you get the Acid, just look at the health bar on this Vulcan, on this War Factory. Is only being hit by the Vulcan for the most part, and it was just going down. Right? Acid allows your units to take 250% more damage, and you can see it clearly is an effective strategy. I was able to take tower, and with just the Vulcan and nothing else left, I think I should be able to take this round. However, it is a very costly round, and this Vulcan has gained so much experience that it's going to level again. So it's going to be level 3 extended range Vulcan. Let's see what his damage is. First of all, free unit. I took the Rhino, sold it. My opponent also took the Rhino, and I think he's going to sell his as well. I upgraded range on my War Factory. It does not outrange this guy. This guy has a whopping 190 meters, and I only have 130. I also took launcher overload. I noticed that I had a bit of a chaff problem, so chaff were getting ahead of me. I just really want to clear out the chaffs as quickly as possible, get locked onto the Scorpion, and then move on to the Vulcan. I know the longer I stay in this game, the less chance of winning that I have, because this Vulcan would just be so powerful that it's going to clear all my chaff in a blink of an eye, and my War Factory won't be able to get to the Vulcan. So here's the level 3 Vulcan. 769 damage for every 10th of a second. So that's like 7,600 damage per second. All right, my opponent has another 750. What will he do? He took electromagnetic shots on his marksman, and he summoned best buddies for the Vulcan. Oh, not yet. Oh, yes, he did. There's a level 3. Yeah. So he did pick the tech. It's just that once it's used, it doesn't light up anymore in when you're in the battle. But he did pick the tech. So right now he's got marksman with EM shots and acid scorpions with siege and extended range Vulcan. This is a very tricky combination. Normally, just siege scorpions with acid is enough for war factories to deal with. But when you're adding superior chaff clear and a disabling marksman, it just becomes very difficult to deal with. Right now, my hope is that I win one more round with one of my war factories staying intact, and I will win the game. And in order for that to happen, I need to really protect my war factory, so I need a ton of chaff. My opponent is adding in 2 extra level 2 Vulcans. And he added another item, improved fire control system. So these are just really high damage Vulcans. And with Best Buddy, each one of these Vulcan is going to produce a marksman with electromag shots. So extremely potent combination. On my side, I am taking upgrades on the Mustangs. So I took the armor piercing shot on the Mustangs, so they do a lot more damage if they can get close. My goal is that I hope that these Vulcans will lock onto my war factory, my Mustangs will clear out the chaff, and then the war factory will bring down the Vulcan. I've added distraction crawlers on the side, and even more crawlers in the back line here. As you can see, my war factories are now disabled, and once they're disabled and sprayed and acided, they go down fairly quickly. My Mustangs is doing work, especially this pack right here, but it's not nearly enough. He still has 4 Vulcan left. And that's a big hit for me. So what's the answer here? What would you do? Absorption module is offered once again. So again, excellent items just all around for the Vulcans. And of course it gets picked. Level 3 Vulcan with absorption. And of course there's lightning. I was too busy adding my stone callers. I totally forgot about the lightning storm. I figured the only way is to get stone callers that might outrange the Vulcan with electromag shot. So I totally forgot about the lightning storm. And of course he added oil as well. So this is the final hit. There's also quick shot on the marksman. So in case he misses my war factory the first time around, now he has another shot at half the time. All right, we're gonna have this in slow motion. You get to watch the painful death of my side of the board. Level 5 Mustangs just get erased in the split of a second. And that's GG. And that's just how powerful extended range Vulcans are if you leave them unchecked and if they get good items. So I hope you enjoyed this game, and I hope to see you on the next one.